I was actually on medical leave that particular day. I was supposed to be working, but due to circumstances, I was off. I actually called down to an office in Brooklyn to get the results of my MRI, which came back good and positive, so that was a plus. And as I was hanging the phone up with the young lady, she just said all of a sudden she had to go. A plane just hit the Trade Center. I, like everybody else in the world, thought for sure it was like a Piper Cub or something small. Beautiful sunny day out. How could they miss the Trade Center? I mean, not see it. Went over to the television, turned the television on, and saw Tower 1 on fire. I picked up the phone to call my father, who's now retired and living in Florida. As I looked away, the second plane must have hit. Got him on the phone. I looked back to the television and saw the second tower on fire. It didn't make sense. There's no conduit between the two buildings. How the heck did that happen? But then the newscasters spun everybody up as to what was going on. So I hung up the phone with my father, said, I got to go down. And everybody knew. I mean, you had to go. They were going to need a lot of hands down there. My name is Mike Connolly, and this is my story. So we were tasked once we were there to get in and under the Trade Center the best we could, so which we did. So as we went down, you could make a left, go over to the PATH trains, or make a right, go through the stores and all for the Trade Center. So luckily we did find one person, got him out, and just the rest of the day we were constantly digging and searching. After a few hours, we started moving around, getting up and over the pile, digging and searching constantly, and I just needed a break, so I found my old unit, Hazmat Company number 1, was there, and I ran into a friend of mine, Anthony Castagna. He was there. He was working resource, so the resource guy has to stay with the rig because he has computers, he has the books to research any products the members may be dealing with. So Anthony had to stay with the rig, but all the other members went off into the Trade Center, and everybody was killed. So Squad 18, which was my unit at that time, all the members were killed there. And Hazmat 1, they were wiped out also. It was a few hours later. We knew one of the other towers, a 47-story building, was on fire. We didn't have the capabilities to get enough water on it, so the fire department just basically wrote that building off. I know there's a big conspiracy theory about it. It had bombs in it or something. We knew this thing was coming down. It was no big thing. So finally, as I was talking to Anthony, we got word over the handy-talkies that particular tower is coming down. Just stood off to the side of the rig, let it drop, let the dust pass. Finally, everything settled, went back to work. So we worked there quite a few hours. After the fact, where we realized we were going to rescue anybody, it was going to be a recovery. You're doing it for the families. So you want to get in there, and people like to use the word closure for them. We want to get the bodies out to the families. When you weren't on the pile, we were down in the 1st Division. So one of the big chiefs are down there. His offices are down there. And after about a week or so, we started recovering the guys' bodies. But as you walk down the 1st Division's hallway, on both sides, there was just paperwork of guys' funerals. You could just walk down the hallway and say, I'm going to this one today. And that's where you went. So if you weren't on the pile, you were at funerals, and vice versa. And they had counseling people coming in the firehouse, coming and going, but I don't know, you think you're a tough guy, you're a tough fireman, blah, blah, blah. So you just kind of put it on the shelf for a long time. I never thought in a million years I'd be living in the Midwest once I retired. But we're here, and it was a little bit of not a bad culture shock, just things to learn, and now being with the Papillion Fire Department, like I say, always kidding around, getting on the rig, going down on a run and passing cornfields instead of, tall buildings. So it's a comical trade-off. And it's all good though. But I just want to make sure I had my head still wrapped together, so I reached out through the chaplain service, and I spoke to Father Swanson, I believe his name. He's the off-going chaplain with the Omaha Fire Department, and he turned me on to Leroy, who's now the incoming chaplain with the fire department. So I spoke to Leroy, and so we talked for quite a while, and looked at the different paths we could pursue. And make a long story short, he introduced me to Kyle, and from there, Kyle had been, coming by. I've been coming by like maybe every week and a half or so, give or take, and just shooting the breeze and make sure I had, like I say, kidding around, but make sure I got my head on straight, which I believe I do. So the core, King of Kings, been a home run for me. There's a place there that you can go to and just shoot the breeze. There being Kyle, it's a plus. It's nice to have. The place is great. The core is great. I really appreciate it.